So we should be able to call withholding sex some type of abuse towards your partner if it's you really using it to manipulate a power dynamic within your relationship. I think that should be a normal thing.
Again, I wouldn't call it abuse. I think the abuse aspect comes in when it is starting to become consistent. It is something that is regular is a tactic that is regularly used to get what they want from the person. Now, if it's like a one-off thing, like, I'm frustrated with you, I'm not having sex with you, or you didn't, pick up the kids for me, so I'm not having sex with you, and that's something that a tactic that you always use, yes, that can be seen as abuse. I would definitely categorize that. But if it's kind of like a one-off type of thing where you were just frustrated in the moment and that's the first thing you thought of, no, I wouldn't consider that abuse.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you.
Thank you.
Only because that's usually not the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually an often tactic. You know what I'm saying? You don't just withhold sex one time. Unless if it's something again. You caught your partner cheating. That's obviously I can understand 100%.
And again, as long as people recognize that there's a difference between saying, no, I do not want to have sex, and then, no, I'm using this as a tactic to, control you in some way.
Which is cool, or punish.
Control, yeah.
Control or punish. You know what I mean? Because that's what I think. A lot of times people withhold sex for a punishment, a consequential thing. Like that's what you get for telling me to wash the dishes a certain way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like crazy to me. Well, I mean,
that doesn't really sound.
That's what you get what I'm saying, right?
That sounds like abuse and that sounds like punishment. But if I was angry with you about anything, I'm not turned on enough to have sex with you anyway. So you can see it as a punishment. I'm just not in the mood to be intimate with you.
But you know what happens? It's a slippery slope because when you and granted, I align because if I'm truly unhappy at whatever moment or situation that has transpired, I'm not the type to just be able to have sex and just be okay. I typically need some time to calm down or whatever the case may be. So I understand. But the problem that happens is if it's a constant thing when, even the small things turn you off, and now one person is left unpleasured by their partner, in my opinion, it would then trigger some spitefulness for when you want to have sex, depending on, especially if it's soon after, and now you get into a pity pat battle of who's right and who's wrong, and nobody's being pleasured. And then next thing you know, you're 3, 4, 5 months in with no sex.
Well, that kind of sounds like that depends on your partner, to be honest. That sounds like a personal trait. You're probably just dating someone that's very petty. That I don't think that instance goes for, it's very generalized. I don't think.
Yeah, but it hurts. Like, I'm talking from a guy standpoint. If a
you
girl
sound
says she
like you
doesn't
talk
want to
from
have sex with me,
experience.
like, that hurts. I'm like, wait, what?
If you are in a
You wanna have sex with
relationship
me?
where you feel like you need to be petty towards your partner, then you might not need to be in that relationship.
Oh, child.
Because, I'm a firm believer in if you are actively trying to harm your partner in some way, then that's not a good relationship.
I think that we have to understand that sometimes relationships come with sacrifice. And once you realize that someone is not sacrificing, sometimes you start to limit the amount you're sacrificing. So if we were in a good relationship and you got mad and the last 3 times you got mad, you withheld sex from me, so now I'm mad, you've opened the door and created a new norm in our relationship. So what ends up happening is that's why, sex therapy and all different types of therapy exist for relationships, because it's never just a one-off thing. I don't want to say never, but it's rarely
It's
just
consistent.
Yeah, it's a consistent thing that has built up, and it's not a one-person thing. It's a 2 people thing, and it happens so often. So we have to make sure that we understand that when we're saying certain things, like, we have to be careful, because you being petty in your relationship, if it's a long-term relationship, pettiness is going to happen at some point, right? I don't care who you are. Like, it might be a 1.7% that it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, the thing is you open up a door and you create new rules for your relationship. And then now each one of you is playing that same card depending on how, you are as a person and your partner is. And sometimes it goes down a slippery slope and you guys could either break up or end up in no man's land with each other. And I think that that's something that we got to be cautious with,
I think one thing that, one second. I think one thing that I think you brought up about, a woman being mad about something that wasn't done in the house. I think that a lot of times men, as crucial and important as those things are in the home, and the men appreciate that those things happen in their home, I don't think they understand that how it makes a woman feel when you spend your time, in addition to your job and everything else you got going on, cleaning the house and cooking and picking up after people and this, that, and the other. Then somebody come in the house and trashes it. Or somebody come in and make a plate and got shit all over the counter. So it's like, well, I don't mind dishes and thing, but like, so I think that men are looking at it like, oh, she was mad at me because of the dishes. No, it's because you shat on my time. And my time is more important than anything. And if I don't clean up the house and let things go, then you're going to have a problem. So it's like, it's a lose-lose. So if anything, how about you be respectful of what I'm doing in my time, in my system, in my house that I manage, and then we won't have these issues. Because women aren't just mad for no reason.
There's always an underlying cause.
Right, there's always something. It's not like you just woke up. PMS or whatever, but like, it's rare that like you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. There's been what the woman is that's being a consequence, and no one's ever looking at the cause. We're only looking at the effect and the symptom. So I think that, and again, men may not look at it as it being important, but it's like, if you want a different reaction, you got to do some shit differently.
Yeah, no, and this goes back to, in my opinion, when we had a conversation about the movie and pausing the movie when the person went to the bathroom.
You're right.
There's just a level of consideration that has to be done or be established, and this expectation of consideration, right? So, and I get it because there's a lot of men who do those things, right? Like they just come in and they just throw it on whatever. Sometimes I do it too, right? I ain't perfect, but I also do balance it out too. I'm not going to defend my own case, but whatever the case, we do it. But when it gets to a point which I can't imagine because I've never been in a relationship such as the one that you described of one of your, are they called clients?
I call them clients, yeah.
Or one of your clients, where it got to a point where she was cleaning up after him like he was a kid. But I think that the only issue I have is, why'd you let it get this far? At some point, we have to understand that we are all adults, especially when we're dating seriously or married with a partner. If I have, communicated to you, hey, don't do that, and you have continuously done it, there has to be another form or way of communication to make that person receive.
Tit for tat.
Yeah, and the problem is when you get tit for tat, but the tit for tat goes into therapy, right? Because it's really, and then therapy is not a guaranteed solution.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we need to be mindful, like, oh, all right, cool. If I'm not liking what's going on in my house, I got to learn how to communicate the way my partner can receive it, not the way I want to communicate. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you, hey, it's common sense, guess what? It ain't common sense. That's why they keep doing it, right? So I think
you got to ask that question.
That's why I asked those questions. Let me figure out. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to figure out your train of thought because I need to understand.
If you even start off,
it's like
it makes sense though.
Can I ask you a question and then you ask me some dumb shit like, what were you thinking when you did this, that, and the third?
Would it make a difference if it's like, okay, listen, can I ask you something real quick?
No, it don't matter.
No, just ask me the question. If you say
no, I gotta.
Nah.
You being funny? Yeah, that's me.
That's where that assume goodwill, right? Try not to think that your partner is going to be petty right? And is trying to make a
People
dig at
usually
you.
are, though.
I'm not
They
petty
can't
though.
be.
I
People
need
you
to figure
really
you out.
understand.
Yeah, like,
They may really want to find the answer to this, right? Because curiosity is what can save marriages and relationships, honestly. Like if you lead with your own curiosity and trying to figure out, okay, what was the motive or intention behind my partner's actions in this, you would realize like there's some deeper level shit happening with them that you might have never considered, right? It could have been something from like when their mom used to, tell them to clean the dishes a certain way. Like it could go back that far.
She beat him
So
with a
if you
switch.
lead with that curiosity, it can make a world of difference.
I don't disagree. I just feel like don't start your conversation by, can I ask you a question?
But I think
Because
what
then
happens
I'm already ready to tussle.
Amanda, I think what happens is that we always
a
make it about
defense.
ourselves,
Right.
and that becomes part of the
That's a
issue.
good point.
Mm.
You make it about you. And I think one of the greatest things that you should understand in any relationship, it's not always about you. And so if somebody not you particularly, Amanda. But what I'm saying is like in a
it is you.
relationship, but it's not always about you, and it's not always an attack on you. And you have to give people grace and be like, okay, where are you coming from? Because what happens is like you trying to attack me when you say, let me ask you a question. You gotta like give some space. So if somebody's like, let me ask you something real quick. That's like, let me ask you something real quick. It's not necessarily an attack. It's
Yeah.
just
Get
let
that
me
face
ask you a
value.
question.
You know
But
what?
it's real, and it's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm gonna say okay. And when they come for me, I'm gonna say, you see?
But I think there's a different. You know when somebody's coming for you, like you know when somebody's coming for you versus when somebody's actually trying to understand the pathology around your decision making.
Mhm.
And I think, and I do this all the time. I think we talked about this. I do this all the time because me and my husband don't think alike. Like we don't notice the same things. We don't like. There's nothing about us that acts the same, and it's so crazy. So I have to ask these questions all the time because I'm just wondering: do one of your eyes not work? Like
She's not gonna say it like that.
No.
She's not gonna say it like that.
No. I didn't ask him that, but in my mind,
That's how it works.
I need to figure out like how did you not see this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or like in my mind, like if you come and get this one item out of this one place 1 gazillion times, what on earth would make you put it somewhere else?
Mhm.
It's not even close to. Because for me it doesn't compute. I have to understand. So I can be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, maybe he's partially blind in one eye, or maybe he
He's a
doesn't.
nosy man.
I'm not. I'm just saying,
Maybe
like
you could just
And
be
that's the thing,
careless.
You can't make those assumptions
Yeah,
either.
but
That's why you
we're-
have to ask the question,
Right.
right? So what was going on that you didn't see this?
I'm just saying. Aaron gave
If it becomes
terrible
problematic,
examples.
because you got to pick your battles.
Mm,
Yeah, and that's another thing because
You gotta
when them
pick your
little battles
battles.
add up, it's a war.
yeah,
I'll tell you what.
yeah.
You gotta learn to pick your battles.
everything's not worth
I'm
it.
very straight
It
to the
really
point.
ain't.
I would say, why did you put this champagne
No,
glass
that's
here
combative.
That
when
is
it's
Yeah, it's-
combative.
That is combative.
Because I avoid trying to be like, I don't know, snipey, asking, can I ask you a question? Because I hate when people do that to me. If what you're trying to get at is that this does not belong here, it belongs here, then just fucking say that. Don't say, can I ask you a question? What made you put this?
No,
right
but the
here?"
thing is, like, it might not come off that way, right? So
Right.
that might be one person's way of communicating, right? Somebody else might be like, why would you do that? And you might have a problem with that. The thing is, in relationships, you want to hope you learn each other's communication style.
Yeah.
Because if the first, second, or third time I ask my partner, let me ask you a question, and he's emotionally regulated and he understands, he's going to say to me, listen, I understand that you want to know something, but when you approach me that way, it doesn't work for me. And I don't like that approach. So I'm going
that whole sentence and I'm engraving it in my mind right now.
So what I'm going to do as his partner, and we're like, okay, like that approach doesn't work.
So what worked?
So I'll be like, okay, so what works? What do you want me to do? If you want to know why I put that there, say, babe, why'd you do that? So you know what I'm gonna do next time? Babe, why'd you do that? Especially me, because I need the data. So I want to know if it works. Because I'm going to compute it, because you told me it works. No, because for me, if you tell me that's what works for you, in my mind,
in my
mind,
that is
it goes like this.
The blueprint.
It'd be like this.
Exactly.
So next time I'd be like, babe, why'd you do that? And then I see your response.
Yep.
And then if it works, girl, bye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like that's
literally
exactly how
like,
it works.
I'm gonna react the exact same way every single time.
And there was one time I had a relationship and we had set the communicative standards in the very like first month or two. And there was one time where she did what I told her I needed to do. And I legitimately started to react, right? But there was amongst a bunch of other reasons. It had nothing to do with her. And she said, well, this is what you told me. I had to, and this was on text, I had to take a deep breath. I said, I'm sorry. You're right. And then we talked about it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like, that was one of the things that I realized. And again, I say this all the time, like, you need to set the communicative standards early in your relationship, because that is the only way to realistically go long term. I can't do this whole, like for me, especially right now, I can't do this whole figuring out how to talk to you when we've been having sex for 24 months. Like I can't do this because I'm already too invested, right? Like I really don't care. But if I already know from the very beginning, then I think that works. And again, like, I think something that you said that we also got to realize, Amanda said, because if you say this to me, I know I'm going to react this way. I think it's important to understand that just because of how you take things is not the way your partner's going to take them. And that means you can't treat them the same as you.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why you need to ask questions.
And it's hard to do that.
It is. It really comes with the level of just like maturity and experience, and either or. But once you get to that point, it's like, I know I'm going to put the same thing in the same spot every time. I don't understand why you have it in a different spot every time. And we both use this. Right? So so.
Wait, whose system is it? That's the difference.
Hey.
I'm saying, no, it really,
speak on it.
It really is the difference. And I found in therapy, and it's funny because I actually brought this up. One day, the sweetener, which is my sweetener because I'm type 1, was moved. So I go in there. It's not where it always is. And I start looking around. I'm like, damn, who moved my shit? You know
who?
No, I know. I thought maybe the container broke and it just don't exist no more. That's literally what I thought, because
you were assuming the positive.
Yeah, I guess. And so, and then I texted him. I was like, hey, I said, what a sweetener? He was like, oh, in the pantry. I was like, no, it's not. I'm looking right here. He said, just look around. It's there. Of course, I look around and it is there. But I'm in my mind, I'm just like, I take care of everything in the house. Yep. If I put up the dishes a certain way, that means you should follow suit. If I fold the clothes a certain way, that means you should follow suit. Because I don't go in the bill pay and start messing up your shit. I don't start putting in my own password. I don't start, telling them to change the monthly payment. You think it's on regular payment and I didn't change it to balance billing and didn't tell you. You know what I mean? And now you confused. So it's like if someone is responsible for something and it's their system, you need to follow their system. Don't come in my shit trying to do something different. Yeah. I understand you may try to help, but if you create more work for me, now we have a problem.
It's not help.
Don't create more work for me because now it's 2 things I got to do. You know what I mean? Because you folded the towels, but does it go with the other 45 towels that's in here that now the shit don't even fit now? Because you folded it differently? The thing is that you put it in there.
She's really
you put it in there and you saw that those 5 towels.
She's been triggered a little bit.
Did not match. No, because I'm very the thing is that because I control everything in the house, like it's my system. So why do you go outside and do anything else? Right. And that's the thing. That's how the therapist framed it. And he was like, well, I guess that makes sense. If you're over such and such, like your system should be your system.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. I didn't conceptualize it like that. It's my system. It's just like that's the way it is. Why wouldn't you just already do it that way? Yeah. Like why would you put the washing powder in the bag with the cheese?
I almost feel like it should be ran like a business, right? Like a business has SOPs, standard operating procedures. So if everybody gets literally a copy in some way of your standard operating procedures, we know when I'm helping you out, this is the way it can be, right? Like, so have that checklist, have that conversation about like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And it may seem controlling in some way.
I'm not
and
strict.
It'll be helpful in the long run.
I'm not strict, but the thing is that I don't go around messing up somebody else's system. Like, if you back your car in every single day, and for whatever reason I have to drive your car,
I'm gonna back it in.
I'm going to back it in.
Yeah.
Why would I not back it in?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in my mind, and this is why I have to. Sometimes I had to step outside of myself because the way I compute that is the lack of awareness and inconsideration.
So fuck you. Exactly.
Yeah, that's how I take it. I'm like, yo, so you really just don't care. Because you've seen me do this every day, especially if I've been with you for X amount of time. And I was actually with you when I backed my car in every day, right? And you decide to park it the opposite way. You just don't care about
I don't think it's I don't care. And I definitely don't see it as a FU.
That's what it comes off as.
I know, but like I don't even see it that way. Now, if I communicate to you.
Yes.
And then you do it again.
And then you do it again. That's when it's see, I like I'm a person, I never assume anybody can read my thoughts.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in that. I'm very communicative. I'm very verbal. I don't want people, there's nothing left unsaid between us.
Right.
So I say what I feel. So if you do something that I don't like, or if I do something every day and I'd be like, oh, can you do this for me? And you do it for me one day, I will come to you and say, hey, listen, I like the car backed up this way because in the morning when I leave, it makes everything easier for me. Maybe there's like more traffic in the morning. So next time, if I give it to you, could you make sure you do it that way? Now, next time, nope, because like I don't like problems. I'm an avoidant of like, I don't like problems. So if next time
it happens again,
then it's a problem. And I like to avoid problems.
Right.
I don't think that. But me and Aaron are.
That's what I was.
I said. Me and Aaron are talking about a one-off situation. We're talking about the redundancy of it, or like, you know.
But did you communicate?
Of course, but you know what?
So I think it's important to communicate. Yes, why you need it in a particular way because it makes life easier for me. X, Y, and Z. Also communicating. So this is how it makes me feel when you don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you just don't give a fuck about me. You shitting on me if, you don't do it in this way. So adding those two together can be more impactful.
Because then if it don't happen, I got to go and change your password.
But
that's what I'm saying. Now, if it happens again and I clearly communicated everything to you, then it's problematic.
But I found a solution for all this, guys. And it's finally, I sat down and I had to really think. You know what I really...
Okay.
Because...
No, I really need to know.
Yeah.
I realized that everybody works off of a consequence and an incentive reward based thing.
Yeah.
So the problem is, and I'm just speaking for my household, if I want the cups in a certain way and it's not in that way, I'm quick to have a conversation about it. But I don't say thank you or incentivize or show some or demonstrate some type of reward for when it is that way to create the new behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So now when things are being done the way I want it to be done, I'd be like, thank you. I really appreciate that you did that.
I see you.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, cool. Let me continue to do this. Because I realized it'd be too much inconsistency in my own house. Like you do this one day, then you don't do it. And it's because you don't make the conscious effort. Really because I'm not prioritizing your reward, whether it be a compliment or something else, a grand gesture. Yeah, to keep them doing it and create the new habit.
If that was said to me, like, thank you so much for doing it, I would be like, okay, my man likes it this way. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I talk a lot of shit on here, but like, no, I do. I really do talk a lot of shit on here, but like the thing is, I don't ever want to be considered as a person who is ungrateful.
Yeah.
Like if you give me a gift, I'm going to call, I'm going to text. If you go out of your way, like the other day, like the weather is getting better here, so my husband knew that I wanted to take my bike out, and it's a road bike, so it needs to have a tune up for the new season or whatever. And he was like, "Hey, you want your bike tuned up?" I was like, "Yeah, thanks." He took it to the guy. He tuned it up and brought it back. He said, "Hey, your bike's in the basement." I was like, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it." You know, like I like thank you, even if it's a thanks, THX, like thank you. Just it goes.
Text me that.
What THX?
THX.
Is that
That's
is
like
bad?
HBD.
Yeah, like-
Don't even say it.
Is that bad?
Oh, that's bad because I'm like.
Imagine if you
I'm
said
quick
I
with
love
the
you and I text back ILY2. The number
Oh.
2.
That's not a
Oh.
good thing.
No, and they already have autocorrect, so it pops up, so you can just hit the button.
I had no see.
No, yeah,
No, it's not.
Thanks.
No, it's not. I'm very quick with the.
It's
T,
lazy. Don't be lazy
Y.
on my thank you.